Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtoto to the Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtoto to the Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Where is Chad? Probably chanting next door. Okay, so we are still in chapter 11. Take 44. Okay. Page 490. Okay. Sorry. 490, you're right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 28th day of October, 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad-gītā as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in the Universal Form, Chapter 11, Text 44 on page 490. Tasmat pranamya panidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priya priyayarhasi devasodham tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayarhasi devasodham tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayarhasi devasodham tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayarhasi devasodham. Go ahead, Prabhu. You. Yep, you're it. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayarhasi devasodham tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva satrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayarhasi devasodham. Ladies. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayarhasi devasodham tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham ishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priya priyayarhasi devasodham. Anyone online? Guess not. Word by words. Tasmat, therefore, pranamya, offering obeisances, pranidhaya, laying down, kayam, the body, prasadaye, to beg mercy, tvam, unto you, aham, I, isham, unto the Supreme Lord, idyam, worshipable, pita iva, like a father, putrasya, with a son, sakha iva, like a friend, sakyuhu, with a friend, priyaha, a lover, priyayaha, with the dearmost, arhasi, you should, deva, my lord, sodham, tolerate. Translation: Krishna says to Arjuna says to Lord Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. Purport. Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, or as a master. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendship. As the father tolerates, or the husband or a master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. Om jnana tamarandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmidatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So Arjuna, kind of very movingly, is asking for forgiveness from Krishna for his less than awe and reverence, worship. But Krishna did not regard that as an offense. This is probably make this clear in previous purports. That's what Krishna is looking for. He's much more happy with Mother Yashoda scolding him and tying him up and chasing him around. I have a nice verse to share with you later about Mother Yashoda running after Krishna, Krishna falling down, getting muddy in the field, and getting it. It's a nice verse. There's a poem to it too. I hope I can dig up. So the whole point is that, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. That's one thing to remember. He's the supreme enjoyer. That means that, unlike us, he has the power to always enjoy, to always be enjoying. First of all, he can expand. He does expand himself into unlimited forms. In one form, he's with us all the time as the super soul, and trying to give us good counsel, instruct us. We're not listening very nicely. He can be thought of as the conscience, So the wonderful analogy in the Upanishads, it's also there in the Bhagavatam, of two birds in a tree, the famous two birds in a tree. So think of the body as a tree. Kind of looks like a tree in some kind of way. And there are certain fruits on the tree that you can experience, which means the sense gratification. Wonderful things to hear, to taste, to touch, all these different senses we have, right? So, but we know from our own experience, and especially from the Shastra, that that's not real enjoyment, because it has a beginning and an end. I think there's this one verse in the Bhagavad-gītā, if I recall, 522. Yehi sangsparjaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantamanta konteya nateshu ramade buddhaha. The intelligent person does not take part in the pleasures that come from the senses contacting the sense objects, otherwise known as sense gratification. Kunti, son of Kunti, such pleasures are the sources of all misery and have a beginning and an end, and therefore the wise do not take their pleasure there. Then the next question is, well, where do they take their pleasure? And that's in the previous verse, believe it or not. Bhaya sparshesu asaktatma. Vindadyatmandiyat sukham sab brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnite. Very nice description. So first, bhaya sparshesu asaktatma means they're not attracted to the external touching of the senses with the sense objects. That's external. Bhaya means outside. Sparsha asaktatma. Because vindadyatmandiyat sukham. Atmani means within. They're always enjoying the pleasure within. Where is that pleasure? Sab Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. Yuktatma means the soul linked up to Supreme Brahman, Krishna. You see, Krishna is in our heart. Sab Brahma Yoga, and therefore, Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. They're revolutionary words. It means therefore, the realized souls who are always thinking of Krishna, relishing their eternal internal relationship with Krishna, they're experiencing an unbreakable happiness. Sukham akshayam ashnute, which you cannot experience with sense gratification. That's the problem. So, now this chapter is known for its awe-inspiring aspect of Krishna. That's what the universal form is. And Arjuna is now torn between his actual normal relationship as a friend to Krishna and what he's seeing is, is awe-inspiring, frightening, So finally, in a few verses, he'll ask him to please show me your four-hand form and your two-hand form again. And of course, he does that. But it's important, for us to realize Krishna has both of these aspects: the all-powerful, all-pervading, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. And I heard another one in the class: omnibeneficent. Did you ever hear that one? For me only. Why not? Yeah, it's apparently in the Bible or something. So anyway, Krishna is all of these things. He's magnificent, he's all-pervading, he's all-powerful, he's the enemy of the demons, But at the same time, for his devotees, he hides all of that majesty and that fearfulness, and he just relates to them just as they want to be related, as a friend, as a dear, most appreciative master, and of course as a lover, and even as a child. And so that brings up the Mahavatar Narasimha. That's I get pronounced. I don't know where the A went to Narasimha, but anyway, which I saw yesterday again. I had cut out a part of it but I saw the whole thing through, and it's a good movie. It's made by devotees, isn't it? Yeah. And so although it's not exactly what you read in the Bhagavatam, because it draws from some other Puranas, but you get the basic story there. And it very nicely illustrates the tremendously powerful and really frightening aspect of the Lord with this in the Shringa wave, It's Tamakada Kamalavade Nakaman Buddha Shringam. Prabhupada, I heard him chant it this way: Dalada Hiranyakashiputana Bringam. This is actually the meter. Not Dalida Hiranyakashipu Dana Bring. Dalida Hiranyakashipu Dana Bringam. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But this is a song by Jayadeva Goswami, who's from his Gita Govinda, right, at the beginning. And all of the verses fit beautifully, metrically, that way. They all have this. So anyway, that's, remembering how he tore apart Hiranyakashipu, Tanu Bringam, which was his body, which is like a wasp, a very nice body. So Krishna has that aspect for sure. And in that movie, Nrsimhadev, when he's fighting, goodness gracious, But then it's so wonderful because this is, gentle Prahlad, and it's there in the Bhagavatam. Lakshmi didn't want to go forward. She was scared. She's a wife. What to speak of Shiva and Brahma and all the other guys. So they said, Prahlad, he likes you. Why don't you think? So he went forward fearlessly. This is his worshipable Lord. And as soon as he came close, the aspect, he was a fierce, angry lion, became, like I don't want to say a kitten, but very, very loving and gentle. That's the whole thing. The Komala Nrsimha. Komala means soft and gentle. He has that aspect. So it's Krishna is like that also. I mean, what do you read in the Krishna book or the 10th canto? He's playing with his friends and, he's dancing with the gopis, but then some demon comes, sent by Kṛṣṇa. And whether it's Bakasura, the worst one, the most hair-raising one is the Putana in my book. Killing children and drinking their blood, but it could be worse than that. And yet, she gets the best destination. He purifies her, drinks, sucks her blood, she expands, and what is it, 8 miles, 12 miles, I don't know. Very scary. And then they burned her body, and there was a guru sent. She'd been purified. It didn't, like a regular burned body, it perfumed the whole Vrindavan area. And Krishna awarded her with a position as like a wet nurse to Mother Yashoda in the spiritual world. Same position as Mother Yashoda. She'd been so purified by contact with Krishna. You say, well, she let me suckle the breast, we'll forget the rest of it. And this is how kind he is, you see. So Krishna he's really an ocean of mercy. And you can see, he tolerates, his devotees doing this nonsense and everything. But he never negates the service that they've done. They may have to go through so many things that we see, and even in our ISKCON has it happened. But there's an eternal. You've made some progress. You've shown some sincerity, and that goes into your eternal bank account, which is very nice. So Arjuna is here. He's begging for forgiveness, that the father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, like that. And of course, Krishna is ready to forgive him completely and go on to the next stage, which is, go ahead, give him the mic.
In the purport, oh, we got a new one, huh? In the purport, how can one person treat Krishna as a son? I mean, that's like a subordinate relationship almost.
He said, well, we're in the middle of the month of Damodar, and it all celebrates Mother Yashoda's relationship with Krishna. The point is, you have to realize the whole point of bhakti is ultimately relishing the rasa, the relationship with Krishna, and there are varieties of relationships. And in the spiritual world, the main relationships are being a servant, and being a friend, being a parent, and being a lover. And I left one out. Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, and Shanta, I guess, Santa Ras, which is kind of preliminary. The flute. He doesn't have any active service, but his weights, for Krishna is always. So the quality. So this is important to realize. You should read the Nectar of Devotion. It's a very important book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he explains this rasa tattva. And each of the previous rasas are included in the next one, such as the dasya ras. Just having this wonderful master who is so friendly and forgiving, and you like serving. So then there's the next one is the friends. Now they're serving Krishna in a different way, a more intimate way, and a more pleasing way. They're teasing him. They don't know who he's God. He hides that. So they're just his playmate. He's all attractive. He's in the center, but still, what was that poem? They wrote. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all the cow friends who called, "Oh Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun." And it's a wonderful painting, I should show you that. And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts. Now what is a haunt? A haunt, you look it up in the dictionary, it's a place where you enjoy playing in different places. It's a hidden place, like a little cave somewhere or a glen like that. Forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. Sward, not sword. Sward is a meadow. Yeah, it's a word for meadow. And it rhymes with Lord. Play in every bower, grove, and sward. The boys would tease their friend. They would tease him with playful taunts. You can read about it in Nectar Devotion. With playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord, which is what he wants. He wants to hide that so that they can treat him in this intimate way rather than, "Oh, please forgive my offenses." There's this wonderful painting in the Nectar Devotion. It's told how they're out there, and they all had their bags of sweets that their mothers had packed, and they were eating them. So one of the boys said, "Krishna, close your eyes and I'll put a nice sweet in your mouth." He said, "Okay." So he closed his eyes. So he picked a flower and he put the flower in his mouth. Yeah, what is that? It's just more fun for him. So so you find that. So these boys, they're even better servants than the awe and reverent servants, because they're giving him more pleasure with the intimate relationship. And then the parents, they have the added mellow of maintenance. To always be wondering, is Krishna well fed? Is he going to hurt his feet? The classically mother said, well, she tried to make him some shoes. It said, the cows don't have any shoes. Unless you can supply shoes for all the cows, I'm not going to wear any shoes. Of course, the secret motive was that he could make his footprints on there, and they would become worshipable, because they have the special marks, So, it's with all of the cows too. He has all these loving relations with the cows. He calls their names. They come to him, and so that it's really the land of love. I mean, the trees, everything is alive. Everything is fully conscious. It's hard to imagine, but they're conscious, and they're able to, because their consciousness is saturated with Krishna. Therefore, they were allowed to stay there. As soon as you start, like we came here, we wanted to think of something else. Look what it got us. I don't want to think of those last 3 million births I had in the material world. Thank you, Krishna, for that mercy, forgetfulness. But we know, we just so we're kind of turning our wheels in the material world. We're not getting anywhere. So the Bhagavatam, you keep reading every canto, every chapter, is a story of how the devotees are acting and Krishna is protecting them and all this kind of stuff. So Krishna, Arjuna now is praying for forgiveness, and he's going to get it. There's no question of his not getting it. But he's in awe. This is very much awe of this universal form. All right, unless there's more comments or questions. Now, your question was again? Did I answer it or not?
Kind of.
What was it?
Well, I was asking about how a person could treat Krishna as a son when Krishna is our master.
Yes, because he hides all that. In other words, he relishes getting the maternal rasa, that he has this mother who do anything for him. But if she thinks he's God, oh my God, she's gonna not do that. So there's one pastime where Krishna engineered it, of course. So Balaram, he ate some mud, he ate some earth. He can do that, So Balaram told him, the Mother Yashoda, and the boys were also saying, Krishna's eating earth, it's not good for him. So Mother Yashoda says, Krishna, have you eaten earth? No, we had an argument with Balaram, and they're lying about me, Well, then open your mouth, so I'll see if you eat any earth. Okay. So he opens his mouth. Oh. And she sees the whole universe in there, Suddenly her maternal ras is like, whoa. This is not my little boy. I'm thinking he's my Nanda Maharaj's son, and my little boy, he must be God or something, So after a few moments, this incredible vision, and she also saw herself in there, So it's really wild. Then he pulls the curtain of Yogamaya over again, so that she forgets all that, and she just sees him as her darling little boy, which is what he wants. He wants her to worry that he's going to hurt his feet on the path, hit some stone or something, all day. Oh my God, is he okay? She's relishing that, and then he comes back, and he's just fine. He says, "Oh, thank God, you no demon came for you." So that's what's going on. You see? All right. Okay, text 45, right? Adrishta purvam vishitosmi drishtva. Bhayena chambhyavyatītam manome tadeva me darshaya deva rupam prasida devesha jagannivasa. After seeing the universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Purport. Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend, and as a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence, Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. Arjuna therefore is asking Krishna to show his Nārāyaṇa form, because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha planets, Krishna has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Nārāyaṇa. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them, Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Nārāyaṇa is 4-handed, but the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols: the conch shell, mace, lotus, and disc. According to the different hands these 4 things are held in, the Nārāyaṇas are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his 4-handed feature. One note about this. The first books Prabhupada published were the first Kano books, and he had covers that he had made. And he had on those covers, it was like the universe, and he had different Vishnus, and they had different names. and I haven't checked yet, but they had, you know, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it's listed, the orders of the things they are determines which name they have. And there's, I think, 24 or 18, I forget. Yeah, different varieties. So it's all of that is very wonderful. So he's asking to see the Nārāyaṇa form, and the Krishna shows him the four-handed form, but then he goes to the two-handed form, which is even more intimate. You know, that's what's going to happen here. Okay, moving on. Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam Ichchami tvam drashnamaham tathaiva Te naiva rupena chaturbhujena Sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 539, it is stated, Ramadi mudishakalan niyamena tishtam. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Rama, Nrsimha, Nārayaṇa, etc. There are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary or universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Nārayaṇa, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of the material world. So that verse Prabhupada is referring to in the Bhagavatam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is in the first canto, I think the fourth chapter, text 28, something like that. And there's a list there of the 10 of the main avatars. But then after it says it names all the avatars, just like, you know, the boar incarnation and the Shringa is mentioned and all these. It says, but Krishna's too, but Krishna, the two is the but. Krishna's too Bhagavan Swayam. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In other words, all of these others are plenary expansions or partial expansions of Krishna. Yeah, this word plenary means full. And so that's the central thesis of the Bhagavatam, is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The very first verse of the Bhagavatam, Janmadhyasya Yatonvayad, is an explanation of the second sutra in the Vedanta Sutra. I often, you know, Vedanta Sutra means the end of all knowledge, right? The aphorisms that give us the ultimate knowledge of the Vedas. So what's the first one? It's a call. It's an order, actually, to all of us. It says, Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that you become a human being, you should inquire into the absolute truth, which is Brahman. Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Well, what is that? Next sutra. You know, you won't have to wait very long in the book. Janma Jasya Yataha, which means Janma is Janmadi is Janma, etc. You know, what comes after birth is growth, you know, and then development, sustenance for some time, producing byproducts like children, dwindling, and death. There's these 6 changes. So Janmadi Asya Yataha, from whom, or that entity from whom everything was generated. And the Adi means, etc., who maintains everything and ultimately annihilates everything material, you see. That's who you have to find out. So there is a famous tika, or commentary on this Vedanta Sutta by Shankaracharya. And it ends up with Mayavad philosophy, with impersonal, you see. But like Lord Chaitanya, who was, you know, you should remember, he was also an extraordinary scholar. You know, after all, Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he showed that even at a young age. And he accepted the Srimad Bhagavatam as the actual proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. And Bhagavatam is all about bhakti, Krishna, devotion to Krishna, and the devotees of Krishna. That's the ultimate subject matter of Bhagavatam. So from the very first verse, this Janmadyasya Yataha. That's the first words of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But it goes on. Janmadyasya Yaton Vayate Tatatashtate Shabhigya Swarat. And it's describing Krishna. The actual first words are Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, the invocation. And that's personal. I bow down to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from the very first verse, Bhagavatam describes that absolute truth, the source of everything, the creator, maintainer, and destroyer as personality, not just an impersonal force. And that personality is ultimately Krishna. And the Bhagavad-gītā is, this is basic knowledge, and then we move on and we study Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So now let's see what Krishna responds to this request of Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Prasannena Tabarjunedam Rupam Padang Darshitam Atma Yogat Tejo Mayam Vishwamananta Madhyam Yanme Tvadanyena Nadrishta Purvam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence." Purport. Arjuna wanted to see the universal form of the Supreme Lord, so Lord Krishna, out of his mercy upon his devotee Arjuna, showed his universal form, full of effulgence and opulence. This form was glaring like the sun, and its many faces were rapidly changing. Krishna showed this form just to satisfy the desire of his friend Arjuna. This form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is inconceivable by human speculation. No one had seen this universal form of the Lord before Arjuna, but because the form was shown to Arjuna, other devotees in the heavenly planets and in other planets in outer space could also see it. They had not seen it before, but because of Arjuna, they were able to see it. In other words, all the disciplic devotees of the Lord could see the universal form which was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Someone has commented that this form was shown to Duryodhana also when Krishna went to Duryodhana to negotiate for peace. Unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer, but at that time Krishna manifested some aspect of his universal form. It wasn't really the useful form. This has been revised. But those forms are different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one had ever seen this form before. So Arjuna gave him, this Duryodhana a little taste of the universal form, just to show him who's what, who's who. And so, but Duryodhana wasn't really eligible to see the actual universal form. So he's responding, and of course he will ultimately again show his four-handed and then his two-handed form. All right, text 48. Naveda yagya jayanaya danaya Nachakriabhi natapobi rugrai Evam rupa shakya aham nirloke Drashtum tadanyena kuru pravira. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. Purport. The divine vision in this connection should be clearly understood. Who can have divine vision? Divine means godly. Unless one attains the status of divinity as a demigod, he cannot have divine vision. And what is a demigod? It is stated in the Vedic scriptures that those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are demigods. Vishnu Bhakto Smito Deva. Those who are atheistic, that is, those who do not believe in Vishnu, or who recognize only the impersonal part of Krishna as the Supreme, cannot have this divine vision. It is not possible to decry Krishna and at the same time have the divine vision. One cannot have the divine vision without becoming divine. In other words, those who have divine vision can also see like Arjuna. The Bhagavad-gītā gives the description of the universal form. Although this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna, now one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this incident. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord, but one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision, are not very much interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the four-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu, and he was actually afraid of the universal form. In this verse, there are some significant words, just like Veda Yagyadya Yanahi, which refers to studying Vedic literature and the subject matter of sacrificial regulations. Veda refers to all kinds of Vedic literature, such as the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, and the 18 Puranas, the Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. One can study these at home or anywhere else. Similarly, there are sutras, Kalpa Sutras and Mimamsa Sutras, for studying the method of sacrifice. Dana refers to charity which is offered to a suitable party, such as those who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. Similarly, pious activities refers to the Agnihotra and the prescribed duties of the different castes. And the voluntary acceptance of some bodily pains is called tapasya. So one can perform all these, can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he is a devotee like Arjuna, it is not possible to see that universal form. Those who are impersonalists are also imagining that they are seeing the universal form of the Lord. But from the Bhagavad-gītā, we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are unable to see the universal form of the Lord. There are many persons who create incarnations, so-called incarnations, obviously. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation, but this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of the Bhagavad-gītā. Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although the Bhagavad-gītā is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that it enables one to distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo-incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of God, the universal form. But that is unacceptable, because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of God. So one first of all has to become a pure devotee of Krishna. Then he can claim that he can show the universal form of what he has seen. Now that sentence has been revised also. And I forget what the revision is. But a devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations. So, does anyone in this room really, really want to see the universal form? I don't want to see the universal form. I mean, there's a kind of universal form that we're meant to see, see the sun and the moon as the eyes of God, like that, to kind of see the divinity everywhere. But that's much different than this. This is the universal form, is the power and the glory of the God in a very kind of hair-raising way. Let's put it this way. You can't really, and it becomes clear, you can't really maintain an intimate relationship with the universal form. As Prabhupada says, how are you going to dress him? How are you going to feed him? He's coming at you with a huge... No, you can't, Okay, we went, hold on, the mic. We only have one mic now. I'm sorry?
There were no batteries in the other one.
No batteries, okay.
Oh. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
So I was just confused. Doesn't he ask in the previous that he wanted to see Nārāyaṇa, but now he's talking about about again the universal form?
No, so he wants to see the four-armed form of the Lord, the conch, lotus flower, and hands. So I guess Krishna has not shown that yet, right?
Right.
But he will, and then he will show its true hand form again. So it's coming. All right, text 49. Ma te vyata ma chavamura babo. Drishtva rupam ghoram idrinmamedam. Vyapeta bhi pritamana punastvam. Tadeva me rupamidam prapasya. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Purport. In the beginning of the Bhagavad-gītā, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona. His worshipful, it's actually worshipable, grandfather and master. Worshipful means you're full of worship. But this is able to be worshipped. His worshipable grandfather and master. But Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent, and for such negligence of duty they should be killed. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful action. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown. Now Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form, and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. That's a very important point. Either a devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings, or he wants to see the two-handed form, Krishna form, so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so now here comes these revelations. First, Vasudeva. Sanjaya Vacha. So you remember who Sanjaya is. He's back in Hastinapur, I think, but he's got this ability to see at a distance, so he's describing everything going on to Dhritarashtra, who's blind, he can't see anything. Ityarjunam Vasudevas tatokva Swakam Rupam Darshayamasa Bhuyaha Ashvasayam asachabitam enam Bhutva punak saumya vapur mahatma. Yeah, so he's going to show his two-armed form too. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Purport. When Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first of all appeared as four-armed Nārāyaṇa, but when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Now, I just want to make it clear that Hare Krishna, welcome. Would you like to sit a little bit and hear in Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, you can sit on this. This is the ladies' side over here. We have a book for you and everything. We're almost till 8:15. So, where was it? What was I? Yeah. So Krishna has shown the universal form. But now he's showing the four-armed form and finally the two-armed form. Oh yeah, I wanted to make the point. When Krishna first appeared with Vasudeva and Devaki, he had a four-armed form, you see, but he was a little baby with a four-armed form. The painting is not exactly, forget the painting. But he did, he had the, it was amazing. How could this boy appear like this, full of the hair and the clothes and the conch shell, So, and then he turned into the two-armed baby Krishna, who was carried across to the river to Vrindavan. Okay, so we're on page 497 if you're interested. 497. Okay, all right. He transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a four-handed form, but since Arjuna asked to see this four-handed form, Krishna also showed him this form again, and then showed himself in his two-handed form. The word Saumya Vapuhu is very significant. Saumya Vapuhu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, When Krishna was present, everyone was attracted simply by his form. And because Krishna is the director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is stated, Premandana churita bhakti vilochanena. Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Sri Krishna. Can see the beautiful form always within his heart. That's the idea. Yeah, so we want to try to do that. That's the whole idea. You know, being able to see Krishna everywhere and in everything and in all relationships is a very high state of consciousness. Okay, one more verse, and then I think we'll do a few poems. Yeah, because the next purport is quite substantial. So we'll just do 51. Arjuna vacha drishtvedam manusham rupam tavasamyang janardana idanim asmi samvritta sacheta prakatingataha. When Arjuna saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature." Purport. Here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form, and again to show the four-handed Narayan form? So it's very clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and who misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and his four-handed Vishnu form, so how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of the Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators. Now this comes up several times in the Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada refers to this false commentary. What is that? Text 34 of the 9th chapter is a very important verse. Manmana bhavaman bhakto madhyajim nam namaskadu mama vaishyasi yukbhaivan matmana matparayana. And it's repeated almost verbatim in the 18th chapter. So what does Krishna say there? He says, this is the most confidential knowledge. So hear very carefully. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus linked to me in devotion, you will certainly come to me. You see? So there's a commentator, he happened to be the president of India at one point, Dr. Radhakrishnan, yes, who in the commentary to that verse says that it is not the person Krishna that we have to offer obeisance and this thing, but it's the unborn, eternal within Krishna, like something like that. So, trying to think that Krishna has a soul and that he has a body like us, But it's completely wrong. And Prabhupada, 3 or 4 times in this book, he criticizes that commentary, especially in the verse in 934. So, and the interesting thing is, I'll just tell this one thing and then we'll do some poetry. And that is that that Dr. Radhakrishnan, he had been the president of India at one point. Then on his deathbed, he asked to see Prabhupada. And Prabhupada came to visit him. And he said, "Oh, Swami, you're close to Krishna. You can beg to him, to please," because he was in pain from his disease, definitely. And he was asking Prabhupada. He had turned into a personalist in the find. What are you going to, offer your prayers to the void, So anyway, and so Prabhupada, and it's not this, that. Again, different imaginary commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is very popular. You go on Amazon, you see there's 30, 40, 50 of them, So that's why this Bhagavad Gita as it is, with the proper commentary. So we'll continue this chapter tomorrow. But now we have 5 minutes. So let me give you a verse that describes, unfortunately I don't have the poem handy, a little poem, but it describes Krishna running from Mother Yashoda. And has a wonderful meter to it. Even without understanding the words, you'll like the sound. Sambade sudabhinam maya sayandamanyantim lambalakamabalambe tambadam tanabilagna jumbalam. You know this one, right? He does, he knows. He's heard it before. So Sambade Sudabinam. So Krishna is running amongst the Surabhi cows, you see. Sudabinam. And his mother's running after him. But she can't really follow him. And the thing is, he's so small and he can go under the cows, you see. And but he falls down sometime, and he gets muddy. It's milk mud. It's muddy because the cows are so joyful that they're always oozing milk. You know, it's in the Brahma Samhita. So he gets muddy, milky muddy. So that's what somebody said, Umbam ayas, and she's getting tired, you know, because he's little boy running here and there. Somebody sudabhinam umbam ayas yantamanayantim lumbalakam avalambe tambalam tunabilagna jambalam. Just the sound, right? You don't even know what it means. So lumbalakam means his hair is hanging down, loose, you know, running as he. Avalambe, avalambe means I take shelter. I take avalambe tumbalam, of that young boy, that young child. Avalambe lumbalakam avalambe tumbalam tunabilagna jambalam. Bilagna means marked with the mud of Vrindavan. He's muddy, you know, and his mother's finally caught him, you know, wipes him down and it ties him up. So here's another one, and this is what I do have the poem too. I taught this to Balaram once when he was still Bhakta Branson, and you trained up a couple. Nitam navanamanitam kainitapitam payap kwame mulali iti samadhi latantam bhuma balam namami gopalam. Who stole my butter? Who drank my milk? And where can my flute be found? I bow to the cowherd child who shouts these words as he rolls on the ground. So he's throwing a tantrum, you know. Where's my butter? And nitam, nitam, and I'll just end with this. I wrote to my old friend Gopi Paranandana how this word nitam can mean both take and butter. What is the story with that, you know? He says, oh, well, that's what butter is what you take from the milk. Is what you get it from the milk, right? By churning the yogurt, and you have to extract it. So there's nitam means to take, and also means, so nitam, nabba nabba nitam. Nabba nabba means fresh. Who stole my fresh butter, you know? So with that in mind, let us adjourn and greet their deities in less than 5 minutes, so we need to hurry. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.